In our country, the American Society of Civil Engineers has rated our infrastructure as usually a D, D+, D-, C-. Sometimes we're lucky and we get a C. We're not investing enough in infrastructure in this country. Undergrounding infrastructure has always been way too expensive. Power lines, as an example, 7 to 20 times more expensive to put them underground as opposed to overhead. With the more severe storms we're getting, tornadoes, hurricanes, people are losing power all over the place. And in the West, Oregon, California, and other states, power lines are literally killing people. So we've got to do something about this.
Well, we're here today to see the technology that Troy Helming has developed. It has the potential to revolutionize a whole industry.
All right, so yeah, 2015, we had a solar farm up in Butte County, California, that had just gotten downsized by 75% because the grid couldn't handle the power at that particular location. Had we been able to get to a different feeder line, though, on the grid, it had capacity, we could have built the whole project. But unfortunately, to get to it, we had to either go over or under wetlands and 3 creeks. And so we're like, all right, let's get a quote on that. And going underground was just exorbitant, killed that idea. And going overhead, it would have taken 1.5 to 2 years to get a permit to go over wetlands, and that was a risky proposition. So we're like, all right, fine, we'll just downsize it to 25% of what we hoped. Well, anyway, we were commiserating at a happy hour in downtown San Francisco, and one of our solar engineers, Dominic, was bragging to his girlfriend at the time about how when he was a Navy SEAL, his SEAL team used to enter enemy ships underwater by cutting through the side of the ship. Middle of the night that night, I wake up, pop out of bed, I'm like, plasma, 20,000 degrees. I wonder if that's hot enough to melt rock. And so I was researching it, and turns out, yeah, it's actually hot enough to vaporize it. And I was trying to figure out, is anybody else doing this? I just could not stop thinking about the idea. Hired an engineering firm, plasma engineering firm. They did a feasibility study. A few months later, came back and said, yes, this will work. Number 2, nobody else is doing this. Number 3, you can bore at speeds of 1 kilometer per day. And number 4, here's what your operating costs are. Cost of electricity and the consumption of electricity, as well as replacing the electrodes. And I'm like, running the math on that, wow, this is like 98% less expensive. We got a business here. Started testing, built our first prototype 2017, built another one about a year later, tested in all different types of rock, granite, limestone, sandstone, basalt. And basically what we've come up with is a robot. So imagine a robot with 10 lightsabers on the front, just kind of vaporizing through all the rock and soil, and then a Mandalorian jetpack on the back, blowing out all the little bits of rock, like cornflake-sized bits of rock. And it can go so fast and so much cheaper than anything else out there. It's the power grid, transmission lines, it's our water pipelines, fiber. There's so many communities that don't have access to high-speed bandwidth, and with working from home, with COVID, how it's changed the world, it's critical. So it's going to be really environmentally benign. There's going to be hardly any impact at all on the environment. There's no chemicals at all. Our process has just 2 inputs, electricity and air. That's it. There's no combustion, no burning of any fossil fuels, and our process is 100% electric, and of course we're going to be using all renewable energy to power it.
But obviously the people involved are experts in their field, and so that convinced me to say, well, we need to take a look. I was fascinated to see how well it worked, considering that it was able just to blow the material. That was fascinating to me to see that material just dissipate. I'll be telling them that it's legit.
Our patents went live. They were published in October of last year, and so we've got some of the designs in here. It's public now, so we can kind of unstealth a little bit, and you can take a look. We're going to be building our next version this coming year, 2022, and we hope to be out in the field boring tunnels for some of our customer contracts by the end of next year. We're already anticipating that our phone's going to be ringing off the hook once we kind of let the cat out of the bag about the technology.